First module, that is the first layer, topmost layer in the network stack, that is application layer. We have covered almost all the concepts of application layer. Now let's move on to the next layer, second layer, that is transport layer. Let's discuss about the transport layer protocols. After that, various services provided by these protocols, and also let's discuss about the comparison between the transport layer and the network layer, and various operations performed at the transport layer. So all these concepts will be covering here. Okay, so let's begin with the basics of transport layer. Okay, what exactly is transport layer? What are the different functionalities happening over here? What are the protocols running here? So let's briefly discuss all that. Okay, yes, so as you all know, in TCP/IP model, transport layer is the second layer from the top. So first is application, then comes the transport layer. So you can just have a look at this diagram. Here you can see there is a network over here. Can you see this gray area? Yes, a car over here, a network tower, a tower, or you call it as base station, a laptop, a router over here. So basically this forms one small network, correct? So you can see also one more type of network over here. This is you can see a kind of house here, right? So this is a home network, let me call it as a home network. You can see various laptops here, you can see a modem here through okay, and then also you can see a router over here. Okay, so you basically call this as a home network. So you have one more network over here. Let me call this as a remote network, office network, enterprise network. This is a kind of an organization or an office where you can see various laptops, computers, desktops, routers over here, and you can also see mainly the servers here, the two boxes, servers, right? Okay, so you can see here one network. You can call this the topmost network as a kind of wireless network over here. Okay, and then home network, and then office network, right? Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say here is all these networks are interconnected. So how are they interconnected? Through various routers. You can see here this wireless network is connected through the routers. Here again it is connected to the home network through these set of routers, and finally it is connected to this remote network through these set of routers. So here one person sitting over here in this network, one who is using this laptop, wants to basically communicate with the one more person who is in this, who is sitting in this, who is belonging to this office network. Okay, you can see a person belonging to this office network is communicating with the one more person, one more person who is belonging to this wireless network somewhere over here. So maybe he is in India and this person is in US, correct? So here two people are basically communicating. Now what is the meaning of communication here? So maybe these two people are exchanging messages via the messenger, right? So you all know, must be using various type of messengers. So you can yeah, this person must be using a messenger to transfer or to send a message to his friend, correct? So how the message is transferred? So we'll just discuss about this message transferring over here. Okay, so first you can see here the network stack, the protocol stack, correct? And in this protocol stack, yes, you can see the topmost layer, that is application layer. The person sitting over here will type a message first, correct? Okay, let's take the message, consider the message as hi, hello, how are you? Okay, so he'll just type hi, hello, how are you? The moment he presses enter or send button, okay, so what exactly happens? We as a user, we feel that that message is sent to the remote person. So how exactly the message is sent to his friend who is sitting in the remote location? Yes, this person might be using his friend's phone number, or maybe he has if he is typing instead of message, maybe if this is sent as an email, he'll be using his friend's email address as a destination address. Okay, yes, through that the message, through that address, the message will find its route to the remote location, or the message will fly to his friend, correct? So as a user, we just know about it, that's all, right? But internally, what is happening when you send a message? We'll just see that. You see here, the moment user types the message, hi, hello, how are you, actually he'll be using there the topmost layer, application layer, or you can say he'll be using an interface, user interface, or you can say it as a text box that is appearing on his screen, where he'll be typing basically, hi, hello, how are you. What is that text box actually? That is nothing but the user interface that is available at the application layer, right? So messenger here is nothing but one of the process running in your system. See, you will be running music, you'll be running a video, you'll be running a browser, you'll be running a messenger, you'll be running a MS Word application, you might be running an email. Okay, so all these are nothing but different processes or applications running in your system. So where are these all these applications running? Actually, these applications are running in your topmost layer in the network stack, and that topmost layer is application layer. So now user is using one of the application, running one of the application, and that is messenger. So once he types the message, once he presses send button, actually his message, that is hi, hello, how are you, will be transferred to the next layer in his own system. So what is that next layer in his own system? That is transport layer. Now we are interested in this transport layer. What happens in this transport layer? So in this transport layer, actually the message that is received, hi, hello, how are you, will be broken up into multiple segments. So in transport layer anymore, I'm not going to call this as a message, I'm going to call this as segments. So hi, hello, how are you will be broken up into multiple smaller segments. So how it might be something like, say, hi, hello, how are you, HIHELLO. So HIHE might be one segment, next LLO might be the second segment, next comes what, how are you, right? So HOW will be the third segment, then AR might be the next segment, again EYOU may be the last segment. So it depends. Okay, so here in the transport layer, the received message will be broken up into multiple smaller segments. Now what this transport layer does with these segments, that is the question. See, each of those segments should be handed over carefully to the next layer in the network stack. And what is that next layer? Network layer. But what is the role of transport layer here before transferring those segments into the network layer? Yes, the important role of transport layer is securely, carefully, or you can say with the highest security, your segments or your entire message will be transferred to the next layer, network layer. So what is that security that the transport layer is providing? Yes, it is something like all the segments that is received, or the entire message that is received at the transport layer, one which is broken up into multiple segments. Here the transport layer ensures that these segments are not lost, or these segments are not corrupted. What is the meaning of corruption? See, hi, hello, how are you should be sent as it is, right? So it should not be changed, or your hi, hello, how are you, in that maybe if some of the characters are missing, what happens to your friend when he receives the message? Instead of hi, hello, how are you, he might receive a jumbled one, a shuffled, a meaningless message which he may not be able to understand, right? So it is this transport layer which is existing in the user sender's system itself will ensure that the message that is sent will not be corrupted. Okay, so it will be sent as it is. And then again in that yes, that is one of the service provided here at the transport layer. Okay, there are several other services provided at the transport layer. That is one such service. Some other such services are flow control, congestion control, ordered delivery. Okay, about all this individually, one by one, I'll be discussing. in the later concepts. Okay, right now we'll just see the basics of this. Okay, so did you all understand what is this transport layer service? So transport layer ensures a reliable transfer. Reliability means what? Trustworthy. So transport layer actually here builds a trust between one system and the other system, that is sender system and receiver system. It ensures that the message what you have sent is received by the receiver carefully without any problems there. Okay, without any issues over there, network issues over there. Yes, so later on your message is transferred to the network layer, and then thereon it is transferred to the data link layer, and then it moves on to the physical layer, and from the physical layer your message actually begins the journey, right? So now application layer, the messages a message is the one which you have typed. That message will be broken up into multiple segments, smaller segments at the transport layer. Now at the transport layer, it ensures that your message is transferred carefully, so that reliability is provided by transport layer. Now it is slowly transferring the segments to the network layer. Now it is this network layer which will convert the received segments into packets, and these packets are then transferred to the data link layer. The data link layer is receiving the packets which it will convert into frames, and these frames will be transferred to the physical layer, and where the physical layer, at the physical layer, now the frames will be converted into bits. Correct? Bits. And now at the physical layer the message is now converted into bits, that is, which is in the binary format. Now your message is in the binary format. Now you are ready to transfer the message to the other user, one who is sitting in the remote location, and now these bits will be converted into what? Signals, right? So before you are sending the message, your binary, what do you call it as, modulation and demodulation, converting binary into signals, analog signals, right? And then upon receiving, those analog signals should be converted back to bits, right? So I hope you have studied all these concepts in your data communication, which was there in the previous semester. So anyway, I am not going to anyways say more about it. Okay, so once the message is converted into signals, it will fly to the remote location, or it will fly to the receiver. Now how will the signal identify the receiver? So it is mainly because of the to address, destination address, what the sender has specified, right? So the destination address may be the friend's phone number, or it might be his email address, anything it can be, right? So that destination address is anyways provided by the sender itself. So with the help of that destination address, message will fly to the remote user. So once it is received at the receiver's end, so how will the message again will be read by the user there? Yes, once the message is received here, who is the receiver in the network stack? So in the network stack, again, first it starts from the physical layer. See, at the sender, the message started its journey from the top layer, and it reached from application to transport to network to data link, and finally to physical layer. So top to bottom, the journey was from top to bottom, and finally at the receiver end, you can see the signal is converted back to the binary format, which is at the physical layer. Now we are starting from bottom. Now from the physical layer, it is moved on to the data link layer, which is converted into frames, and from the data link layer, the frames will be sent to network layer, which is converted into packets, and from the network layer, it is moved on to the transport layer, and now these packets are converted back to segments. Now what this transport layer does, and now students, I'm speaking about this receiver here. Okay, so it is at the receiver end. Now what is the role of transport layer? At the receiver end, the transport layer's role is to collect back the received segments in the proper order. So at the receiver end, transport layer will ensure that the segments are received in proper order, no segments are lost, and all the segments are in you can say that it provides a reliability service. It ensures that all the received segments are not corrupted one. Okay, and all the segments that is received, it will assemble back, and those assembled segments will be finally transferred to which layer? that is the topmost layer, and that is application layer. Now it is at the application layer what our receiver is accessing directly, right? So receiver will be running an application there. Which application? He might be using a messenger, or he might be using an email application. So that application will be running, and now those segments what the transport layer has sent to the application layer, that is converted into message format in the application layer. Now that message is in the understandable format, and that will be read by our receiver at the remote location, correct? So you can see here the transport layer is actually providing logical communication between the two systems. Which are those two systems? Sender system here and the receiver system here. So it is providing basically the logical communication. Why am I not saying it as a physical communication? What do you mean by physical communication? If the communication is between the two systems, if the communication is happening through the wired communication, or through a cable or something like that, I would call it as a physical communication. But here basically you call it as a logical communication, logical end-to-end communication. What is the meaning of that logical here? See, the user transport layer is actually providing the connection between a process or an application that is running in the sender system to it is developing a connection between a process or an application running in the sender system to the process running in the receiver system. That is the process or an application running in the receiver system. So it is basically an interconnection between the two processes. Which are those two processes? Here the user is running one messenger application, or he might be running an email application. So that application you call it as a process because he is running that application, right? So you call now that as a process running in the sender system. So that process will be developing a communication between the receiver's process. What is that receiver's process? Again, this receiver is running a email application, or he might be running a messenger application. So it is basically the communication between the two processes, or you can also call it as communication between the two applications which are running in the sender system and the receiver system respectively. So we call it as logical communication between the two processes happening here because of this transport layer. Okay, so transport layer basically provides reliable service, and it is actually responsible for logical communication between the two processes running in sender system and the receiver system respectively. Okay, I hope it is clear about the transport layer. Okay, yes, now the two important personalities running in this transport layer. So I call them as personalities. Why? Because this transport layer has two very important protocols, and these two protocols are TCP and UDP. Correct? So what is this TCP and UDP? These are the two mainly important protocols running in the transport layer. So this you can recall the previous module concepts, the last concept, socket programming concept, where we had discussed about TCP and UDP. Do you remember? So TCP is basically a connection oriented protocol, where UDP is basically the connection less protocol. Correct? So you call it as what is that? TCP, that is connection oriented, and UDP, that is connection less. Okay, so I hope it is clear till here. Yes, the two important protocols, please remember. Okay, so now UDP, I hope you all remember, user datagram protocol. You call it because here the data transferred between the two systems are in the form of datagrams, whereas TCP is transmission control protocol, wherein here the data which is transferred between the sender and the receiver is in the form of segments. So TCP basically transfers segments, UDP basically transfers datagrams. Okay, remember these two terms associated with TCP and UDP. Okay, so we'll move on to the next concept. Okay, what is the